sorry, I just can't. I'm so on edge right now. I can't take all these things. I know, but it's literally harassment. I don't know if you've read it, but like they're adding more charges on and then adding tax on it. It's like, why is I'm not responding?
Yeah, I need to go through and see this properly because I come into this late.
Honestly, there isn't much to see. That's the wild thing.
I'm here to hold your phone. I'll just document the communication so I can just up to speed on what's happened.
Good morning, team. Good morning. Back for another day of it into Wednesday, midpoint of the week. So we have potential weekly range set. Looking at the higher time frame, we're dancing right by that 20-day, all right, into this old demand level, into the 20-day. So the question is, do we do the mean reversion trade today, or do we just chop inside range? Currently sitting inside range, right? We're sitting inside Tuesday's range on a daily. Looking at the hourly, you can see we had a very clear bear flag here. We've broke down under it and we are soaking off and around where we found demand yesterday in Tuesday's session, previous day low. The SMT for that would be the ES, right? ES went and swept previous day low, trading back inside now. So I would like to see NQ go deeper first, but so far it's not showing a willingness to do that, all right? We've come down, didn't quite take previous day low, missed it by a small amount before trading back inside. So expecting chop today and an initial balance day until it proves otherwise, just because we're inside previous day's range, right? So we have previous day low just hanging out right there. You can see we had a big reaction. Once ES, at this point here, ES took previous day low, buyers came into the market, bid it up. So now there's possibility for higher prices. What you need to be aware of is point of control and VWAP. VWAP is right here, all right? So average price on VWAP is right there. Point of control on the higher time frame is around the same spot, all right? So we're fighting over this volume area from yesterday's point of control and today's point of control. So lots of volume being built up. So if we think about this as a range at some point, and it might be later today, this range is going to break. We don't know which way yet. Pressure is downside, but we are into high time frame demand levels. So we might have a Wyckoff type move for us to look at. I did get short this morning for this breakdown, right? Very, very simple. I waited for this breakdown here and I took the short and I locked in 526 bucks on that move. And now I'm just waiting. Good morning, Asa. Good morning, Marek. Good morning, Ray. Good morning, Cypher. So just waiting. We have about 90 seconds until we get a new hourly bar. And the hourly chart right now looks pretty ugly, doesn't it? Right down here, pretty ugly, stuck against the flow zones, stuck in a rather decent size range from, let's just call it 19,820 up to 20,800. All right, so a decent size range there on the H1 that we're currently stuck inside. So the two options as ever are going to be a failure basically of this and to come and look for a break of structure and maybe sweep the low and then we can see what's what, or it's going to build this liquidity out here, maybe reprice some of this and look to grind back up to the top side of that range. Let's go ahead and mark that range out as well. So London swept the low of Asia and then we swept the high of London and the high of Asia before now sweeping the low of London. All right, so that is a signal of a day which is going to expand and chop. If you just have a look here, we have an expanding range, right? Right here, this is expanding to the downside. And this is expanding to the upside, all right? This is liquidity building phase. We go over this lots and lots of times. When you have this pattern here, it is going to build liquidity until it proves otherwise. That's its job. So you see how Asia traded. London took the low of Asia, traded inside. Pre-market, we took the high of London and Asia, and then took the low of London out. So it's just searching for stops. Good morning, Radar. Good morning, everybody. Hope you are all doing well. So nice and patient today. Seeing if we build liquidity here for a drive up. I'm just going to squeeze this out a bit. Just go to a 15-minute chart very quickly. Clean some of this up. Yesterday afternoon provided some really nice opportunities to trade back and forth. What we did yesterday was we drove back up and we swept the news candle high, which was a very interesting move, this move right here. So I'm just going to mark that out as top level. I wouldn't necessarily call this supply, but I'm interested in how we trade up to there. And then I just want to have a quick look at a fib. Let's do it from yesterday's open. Okay. We do have a big imbalance up here. If it does want to reprice higher, it can go and search that big H1 candle we did on the way down. But I'm not going to take a move for that until we can quite clearly get over the range that we're in. Not interested in becoming liquidity today. Right, so into a new hourly bar here. Just sat at point of control right now. For me, there's nothing to do when we're sat at point of control. VIX did have a drive up in towards yesterday's high of day. It reached 20.40 before pulling back, now trading at 19.65. Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Radar. Right, so we don't have trend alignment. You'll see lower time frame is starting to move bullish as we start to flip these. Higher time frame is bearish. But momentum right now on the lower time frame is for a potential upside move to try and take out some of that liquidity. Remember, we're in a ranging market which is building liquidity. Nice break here off this right shoulder for a squeeze out. So if you're in this, I'm not in this, the first target would be up towards 65. Then you need to look at those daily levels and then up towards 20,000. This is a nice move up off the lows now. So definitely had buyers come in that same area as yesterday. Would have much preferred for us to sweep like ES did, but didn't get it. I traded down into that point. So maybe now we can think about, can we complete a pullback into here and hold, because that would give us a new shoulder to play off. Just want to be cautious about buying too high in the range today. Very nice break here. Buyers coming back into control in this market in this session. Good morning, Mindful Matters. So we still have another half an hour until we set that initial balance. We're trading inside now. So Monday's low can be an area of interest. Can we trade back up towards Monday's low? I'm just measuring that out. Into around 60, 20,060. So far, see, we tagged into the close, previous day close, and found some selling there for now. Just short-term selling probably off this drive up. I'm just going to let it settle down. Had a good move this morning. As I zoom out in the charts on 5 and 10 minutes, it looks a little bit ugly to me until we can start to break above clear ranges. Just checking the QQQ. Yeah, coming into closing price, we still have that big gap underneath. So I like to measure out QQQs, nice and easy to see on my side monitor as an ETF. Just where the cash gaps are. trading back up to fill that gap now on the Qs. So here's your question now. You've had liquidity built. Do we continue upside momentum? If it starts to fail and use this, it can come for previous day low. Those are the two options we're currently looking at. You're trading inside of yesterday's range. Okay, inside of yesterday's range means see money, take money. Stephen Mallon, hit your profit goal this morning, just watching until internet folks come to upgrade the internet. Amazing. Well, congratulations on the profit goal, and hopefully your internet will be even better for you moving forward. Fast internet is key. I would always advise plugging in, don't go over Wi-Fi. Plug in, you'll notice a massive difference in the lag. Good morning, Fig. So pull back here into VWAP now. Was that drive this morning enough? Was that all they were looking for? Are they going to catch the bid here? Or are we looking at lower prices today? All these things I'm thinking about. But for now, here's your pivot low. This is your first move up, higher low, second move up. So we are thinking Dubai step back in here for a rotation back to the upside. That's the trend I'm looking at right now. When it fails, we can think about using this liquidity or a trend here for something for lower prices into this. But for now, I'm thinking about upside prices until it proves otherwise. So you have flow zones and VWAP and the lower time frame algo all stacked together very tightly. Good morning, Patience Pays. Not much news today either. All right, there's not many news drivers today either. Obviously, you've got some headlines and some Fed talkers, but no big news event to really get this market going today. No surprises came in last night watching the vice president's debate. I thought it was a great debate. First one I've watched and actually thought was good. Thought they both handled themselves extremely well. Very refreshing to see two politicians being kind and courteous, letting each other talk. I thought they were both warm, both considerate. Both their policies were not actually too far away, and I think they both admitted that. So nothing there to spook the market. The way that they talked about the economy, you know, Vance very clear that their main job will be to get energy prices down. That's their first target. So yeah, I thought it was good. I don't know about any of you. I'm not a voter. You know, I have a green card in this country, but I'm not a citizen, so I don't vote. So I have no bias here, but I thought that was the best debate we've had so far. Very, very refreshing to see human beings being kind and courteous to each other. More of that would be great, I think. So here you go, dips holding so far. So you're looking to see, do you get flag continuation for upside? Just be aware of this previous day level. And you're trading inside range. So if you're taking these, get that stop break even as soon as you get that breakout. You don't know where this will stop, but when we're trading inside of range, if you look at this hourly candle, we're coming back up to test the top of the old hourly candle into 80. Good morning, South Cacbad. Thanks for joining again, appreciate it. So this level here, 80s into 20,010. All right, this is a key level. Overnight, we kept rejecting that over and over again. You got one swipe through and then a rejection. Remember, we've got an expanding range. Look at this 5-minute chart. It's an expanding range both sides. So we came and tapped the bottom side. Now we're trading back up to the top of Asia. So far looks pretty good. Looks pretty good for possible continuation. This would be the first stop I'd be looking into up here. If we start to base up here at 20,000, we can have a squeeze day higher. If not, then we might just have a rotational day where we just do this move downside, upside, and just dance around all day long. With a lack of news, that's very, very possible. I would love to see us break 20,000 and then break sort of 20,070, 75 and come and fill some of that imbalance from the big sell-off yesterday. But there's nothing right now to tell me we're going to do that. We are effectively just building out this right here on the H1. Right, so we're sort of stuck in here in an H1, but we're starting to expand more the other side. You can see we break it to the downside before soaking back upside. So maybe I can change this. It's pretty much a flat one anyway. So this flag looks like it wants to play out for an upside squeeze here. Just be aware of the area you're coming into. So take some profits as you move into this daily level. This is your previous day close. Trying to head up to that 9 o'clock print. A 9 o'clock candle, the open on it, on an hourly chart. All right, so we already took one trade this morning. I was short here, those joining a bit late, I was short for this move down. Didn't grab this long, wasn't convinced on it yet, but now it's starting to convince me that it might want some upside targets. I'm gonna move this up actually, this can be all the way up at 50s. Looking good here. So you're going to get your break of structure. So move that stop, break even, take a partial into this daily level, hold the runners for 20,000 and then 20,050. Congratulations if you took that long. Playing out nicely once it used the liquidity. We talked about that pullback into VWAP. Can it hold? And it's exactly what we got. Zoom this in a bit for you. Just be cautious of this liquidity trend line. Just where everyone's stops are for this move up. It's very, very clean here. So same area of rejection so far. All right, look at the hourly candles from the last few hours. And overnight, it's the same spot over and over again, and it's previous day close. Upside target, we have a seller on the book just in front of 12, so probably 20,010. The long entry has already been and gone, activate. I wouldn't be longing right here at high of day right now. From our swing high to our swing low this morning as well. I'm gonna guess this is a golden retrace. Yeah, right into the golden pocket, top of that golden pocket, into the 786. So I'd either want a deep pullback and a trap, or I'd want us to break out and hold. We're just printing inside of all of yesterday's range right now. This is very, very ugly. If you look at yesterday's volume, the value area low was 85, 885, and the value area high was 20,053, sorry. And we are trading inside of today's value area high and value area low that we've created from the open. So we're getting a volume range like this that the next day has tightened up so far like this. And then for me, until we break out and base above, I'm not going to be looking for continuation trades. When we're in mid-range like this, I'm really lack interest in these trades. We talk about this a lot. When we're mid-range, when there's no clear directional move, I lack interest. I either want to trade the edges or I want to trade a very clear trend. Ryan took profit at the retest and got stopped out break even. All right, that's good though. You took profit on the retest. You tried to hold your runner, stopped out on that break even. It's a good trade. So we have to see now, do they feel like all this is very obvious liquidity for them to come and search, or do we start to build some form of bullish pattern? Remember, everyone's stops have just walked up very easily here, can easily come down, clear some of them out, and then think about going higher. Remember the higher time frame, if you look at that daily and the hourly, we are basing out, but we could easily do a drop, base drop, right? Easily do that. If we can get about above 20,080, then we can come and reprice that hourly candle that we did at 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. yesterday morning, that big sell-off. Very, very thin structure in that sell-off. Price pretty flat. We've just flipped the flow zones, but everything's stacked together pretty flat. That's normally when I'm less interested. This was a nice trade on the way down, and even this pop and pop, pretty good for a small move on the way up. But right now, I'm just gonna wait. Would love to see us scream to upside, and I'd love a trap before we do it, would be even better. Not a whole lot on the book. Still got that order up into 20,010. Not much else. Not expecting, you know, miracles and fireworks today. Not with the lack of news. Not unless something comes out of the Middle East. VIX just holding as well at 1950. All right, it's pretty much just basing out there. So after that drive yesterday, which took us from 16s all the way up to almost 21, we're now basing in the top part of that range at 1950. If VIX starts to snap, then maybe we get more upside. Maybe this is going to play out now for that squeeze move. So holding trend for now. Just got through previous day close. The question now is, can it squeeze, come and clear out 20,000 and above? So if you're in this same thing, take a little bit of profit at the break of structure because you're trading inside range, and then hold the runners for bigger moves. Mag 7 still all red, other than Nvidia. All the Mag 7 still red on the day. Apple coming up to test 225. They've all got a little way to get going, to get green, to go red to green on the day. So tech was in a sell-off. Anyone following the Chinese stocks? They look really, really good. We talked about it last week as we start to rotate out of the NQs, out of the Mag 7. I was expecting things like Baba, Li Auto, Neo, all these things to start having upside move because they've had huge down pressure for 2 years. So it was very probable that at some point they'd get that upside move, and it's happened the last 3 or 4 days. China gapped up overnight. At one point when I checked before bed, most of those on dual listings were up about 10%. So more drive up here into this block, okay? Very easily can take this out. This is just the pre-market high, effectively. We can easily come and take this out. Looking very good here. If you took this, congratulations. Really nice trade. So pay yourself into this move and then hold the runners. You have potential for a move up to 20,050 all the way up to 20,090-ish if it really wants to get going. Yes, JP, that's exactly what I took this morning, actually. That opening range trade worked out well. You got a 2-to-1. Very good. DiCaprio, you're still bullish until 11. Yeah, 40 minutes left. Those are your stats. I know those are your stats, so you've back tested it. So looking for this drive up now. Now it's cleared out. Asia high. Can we come up into this zone? Right up here we have supply. Look at the M10, the H1. Look at the candles we created yesterday at 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock into close. Or is it 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock? Those candles. That's where it's wanting to come and test right now. So this is clearing out all the stops that were left in from shorts in Asia. So they've now been taken out the market. So anyone who is short from Asia is now out of the market. Same with pre-market. They've probably just had their stops run. DiCaprio done for the day. You were bullish. Yeah. Good for you. Your stats paying you again. The importance of knowing your stats and your edge. Very, very important. For me, I would love to see if we can get up to that previous day level, 20,050, and see how we react there. Would be really nice. Not previous day, sorry, Monday. That would be Monday's low. So ES cleared out previous day close. We just cleared out Asia high, trading back inside the range again. That's why you must pay yourself on those moves into supply and liquidity. Always make sure you're paying yourself. So the question now is, are we going to hold? Can we break out, retest, and go again? Or was this just one squeeze up to clear stops and we're just going to trade back inside of range again? All right. I'm thinking today is highly likely to stay inside of range. Highly likely to see failed breakouts and stay inside of range. Still holding flow zones, still holding the VWAP. And VIX still holding its M10 flow zones as well. So just lacking a bit of edge here for me. I know towards the end of the week, if we don't do it today, the moment we break out this range, we're going to get some beautiful moves. And I just want to make sure I'm present for those moves. It's a pretty strong move down here. This is a pretty strong rejection after taking that out. The clearing structure, just have to watch VWAP here, but we have started to inverse some of these. Do buyers come back in here? Think about structure. This is the low that created the high. So in theory, we would assume new highs, but these are pretty big moves down. So I would be interested if we start to make a clear rejection pattern here. ES trading right at VWAP right now. DiCaprio, you think we range as we cleared out the levels above 930? We're bullish now, no more bullish for me. Yeah, exactly that. We cleared out the overnight highs and lows. We cleared out previous daily levels. So we cleared out, well, ES cleared out the previous day low, NQ missed it, and now we've cleared out previous day close on both. So it's a high probability for me inside, if we stay inside this, that we just go back and forth all day. Dubai step back in this same area. Remember, this is the strong low. Once we break that, we can maybe have either a trap or a change of character for downside. If we're going to trade downside, that would be beautiful. I would be interested potentially in that move just based on these candles that we've moved down, but I do not want to get trapped in here right now. Eyeing up a short, an early short, if it's going to show weakness here. If ES is going to let go of VWAP. I'm just interested how we react up here, where we've left strong candles to the downside. Does it reprice to move lower, or is this just going to soak and go again? On this chart here, you can see we're in the top of this range. This can be bullish to move back through this. If you think about this in terms of liquidity, it can also fail and come and dig deeper down here where we found buyers. Very, very tricky when you're trading like this inside of daily levels, inside of hourly levels, inside of overnight levels. ES held VWAP, well, maybe a tick or two under it before soaking back upside. This is the level I'm interested in. Are they going to absolutely slam this, or are they going to go for new highs here? If they're going to get through this, then they probably squeeze out towards 50 very quickly, I would imagine. Nothing really on the book either. There's one order down at 19,925, but nothing amazing on the book that's got me super, super interested right now. So strong move off VWAP for ES here. The fact that ES swept previous day low and we didn't is a pretty bullish factor normally. For those of you who trade smart money, it's like SMT there. One took liquidity, one didn't. And maybe the Qs want to come back into that area that we traded into yesterday, into 82 to 83, which on here would be 50s. I'm going to remove this for now. Trading back into that expanding range, right? Into the expanding range. If we can get through that, we can come back into this area yesterday. If we get through that, then we can reprice that H1 bar that we did. The huge move down that we did in the morning yesterday off the news. It's very thin there. It could easily be repriced if we're really going to be bullish today. So news coming in between Biden and Middle East calling for a G7 summit. Yep, Suri, choppy market today. To be expected when you look at, we're trading inside the previous day range, always expecting a choppy market. And there's nothing really, there's no like big orders on the book that have me really interested either. So far, everything's just being soaked. Took one trade earlier, that's it so far for me. Would love to see a deeper short play out, but no reason to see it. Fig, if you're going to make statements like that, you need to back it up with reasons. Just saying smart money, building sell pressure, based on what? Based on what? Don't induce other people into chat into moves. Make sure you back it up. All I see is that we're at the top of the range right now after sweeping. There's no short setup yet. It might dump, but you need to wait for a setup so you have some clear risk reward. You don't want to be in a position where you're adding into a loser. So just make it clear why you're thinking that, what you're seeing. Is it a certain volume? Is there a setup that you see, an indication that's telling you it's going to happen? Because for me, so far, we are looking like we want to move higher. We're inside of this initial balance, so we now have the initial balance set. So now initial balance rules will apply. Just watching this H1, that's what I'm really interested in. It's where we trade up to on the H1 based on yesterday, right? Based on this range yesterday. This is yesterday's value area. We're trading up towards the value area high, right, which is where we found supply. There's probably a ton of stops here at 20,080. It might want to come and clear all those out. All right, if you say so, Fig. So into that initial balance high here, into the area where we found some sellers that we just cleared out in the pre-market. Through this, we can trade up towards 25 to 50 and then 80s. If we fail this expanding range, then we're going to come back down towards VWAP. All right, it's the same thing. This hasn't changed all day. This megaphone pattern, if we can get above and base, we trade in towards this white line and possibly extend to 80. If we fail this, right, this blue line I put in, we probably trade back down to this around here, around 950. These would be counter trend trades. The momentum right now is upside, but it's upside towards the top of range. Really nice, Ryan. You're doing really good, Ryan. Really, really good. So far we can't get over that initial balance high. We've ticked through it, but no push, no strong push through and hold. Yeah, not every day, Ryan, will be your best day, you know? You just got to live to fight another day. Yeah, it happens, Ryan. So Ryan's saying he was green yesterday, but missed out or lost out on good profit. Try not to think of it like that. Just try and see it as a learning curve. Yeah, FOMO will make you give money back. Picking tops, picking bottoms, and FOMOing into tops and bottoms will make you give money back. Start eradicating that from your trading and start being really patient. We get easier and easier. Today, I think you've had 2 or 3 trades, clean setups, late entries. See, so you know your weakness, so that now you know what to work on. You know what to work on. So like we talked about, more upside pressure. We're into that level now. All right, we're into that 25 level that we talked about. Just tapped into it. So we need to see how it reacts here. Is it going to be a failed auction for that attack into 25, which is what we're talking about potentially happening? Or are they going to just resoak and look for 50 and 80s? Remember, the top of yesterday's volume starts at sort of 25 up to 55, and then through that there is a potential break higher. If we keep failing that, we're going to be in a rotational day inside initial balance. DiCaprio, the real hard part is keeping the money from your good trades and not getting in tilt from the red ones. Yeah, absolutely. It's why hard stops, all right? I always say use hard stops. Just let it take you out. I think that was a big miss on crude there. I didn't see it. Did anyone see that? Let me just bring it up. The crude number that just came out. Financial juice. Crude oil inventories 3.889 million. Forecast was forecast was 1.43. Israel said to be mulling over attacks on Iran oil rigs, nuclear sites in response to the missiles yesterday. So I'm just catching up with headlines there. Okay, so that pullback again soaked off our flow zone, our momentum cloud, but we are stuck at the initial balance high. Until we get over the initial balance high, initial balance rules apply. It might want to come and back test VWAP. If it gets over the initial balance high and can soak and give a nice bullish pattern, maybe we come back in towards here. Remember, here is H1 supply and the higher time frame algo. Nice to see finally a day where ES and NQ look a little closer together. So ES has also failed its IB high push, but is basing around the same point. Only difference is that previous day close level. But near enough in sync today. VIX down at 19 right now, all right? So it's about 1.5 points off its high of day. Just watching this to see if we get an initial balance play here, or if they're just going to soak it and rip it higher. Are they planning on doing a rotation? That's my question right now. I'm asking. Planning on doing a rotational play. Still, from this point of view, still kind of bullish up here. All the time it's holding, pattern-wise. Move this up. All right, soaked off here, pushed up, inverse head and shoulders, and it's basing up here for now. So can it build a flag on that right shoulder for extension, or are we just going to roll back down to where we found buyers? Where did we find buyers? Right here in these zones. So maybe the deep pullback or somewhere around here. Otherwise, can they force this? I would be much more interested in waiting for this to do that kind of pattern above the initial balance high. There are clear targets above it can head for. That double top at 77 on an hourly chart, doesn't have to do it today, but it is a level I'm looking at. But so far we look like we're in a standard initial balance day. Here's the rollover from the top of the initial balance. So are they going to reprice all the way down into here, into 65 and lower? Still holding those momentum clouds for now, still holding them. Just being patient. There's nothing here really for me until it becomes very clear and obvious. Structure-wise, it's a mess. It is an absolute mess. Biggest order on the book I see right now, 950 and 925. Right, those are the biggest orders I see on the book right now. We're trading nowhere near them. If it traps enough here, it can squeeze up. So like I said, Fig, if you're going to say stuff like that, back it up. Right, because you're going to get people in chat trying to follow you in. It's really dangerous. You're now 80 points out the money since you said you were building a short position because smart money was. So another failed breakout here of the IB, no base above it. If we start to roll here, remember the targets will be down here. If we start to roll, this would be counter trend. We haven't come underneath any of this, but if we're going to be in an IB day, this would be TP1. And if it's actually left this to come and take later, you have previous day low down here. The only thing I would say is ES already took previous day low, so NQ might not need to take it. Yeah, more OPEC news coming. I think there was a Russia headline there. Just hit my wire, I didn't see it. So another test above the IB high here. VIX now under 19. Okay, VIX is dropping down. This is giving some bias towards upside. VIX has some demand between sort of 1870 and 1825. Okay, so if VIX finds a bid there, be interesting for a potential timing it with the rollover. If it doesn't, if it keeps dropping down, just nothing to do in this range here right now. Everything just basing out at that IB high. It has squeeze potential through here. Okay, it has squeeze potential through here. The 5-day moving average on the ES for the upside with that daily level where we squeezed up to yesterday in the afternoon. Very similar to the NQ. NQ can honestly trade all the way up to 20,075, 20,080. If it wants to steal that and trade back inside, it can. If it starts to get through that, structure is very, very thin all the way up to 20,250. So it has potential for a squeeze. It will be a battle here. There's an unwillingness right now to take it higher. You can see every push above IB is failing. You need to see a clear push, pull back and hold. Again, if we're going to have a rotational day, we can look for moves back down into these trade area locations down here. If it's going to be a standard initial balance day. If we're going to be a trend bull day, it's going to need to show us strength above that initial balance high. Mag 7 still all red other than Nvidia, but they're getting closer. Apple 0.1% down, Microsoft 0.6% down, Amazon 0.1%, Google 0.8%, Meta 0.3%, Nvidia almost 1% green, relative strength there in Nvidia, and Tesla 5% down on the day. Yeah, exactly, Siri. Even the 5-minute bars, there's push and pull pressure, but nothing super clear is there. There's no big imbalance left to the upside or the downside. This just feels like a chop day to me, a very possibly a very typical initial balance day, unless it can base. If it can base and prove itself, that's great, and we can think about joining the trend. I'm not in a rush to do anything right now. If it's going to fade here, then I have some interest in a move back down to here, but it's really got to show me it wants to move lower or wants to move higher. I do not want to become liquidity on the day. What I don't like is it's building all these stops in up here. This looks like a very easy area for it to come and use short stops now for a squeeze straight up. Suri, I'm sorry to hear that. Was there a reason why? Did they give you a reason why, or are they just a scammy firm? Don't really know much about Alpha. Did you break a rule, or is it more down to them? Do they need to go on the scam list? They said you used... Oh, so your lot limit was too high. Is that what they're saying? That's a shame. Maybe you can you trade there longer now, like another 10 days and get another payout, and just make sure you trade within the lot limit size rather than wasting all your work? Yeah, so just do that if you can. Just do that. Don't worry, I had a large payout denied a couple months ago at Apex. It's, as you know, I like to trade micros. I don't trade big size, and they denied me a very large payout and another guy in my team for DCAing, which was crazy. I think it was literally a case of adding 1 or 2 micros, which is insane. So I've had to change how I trade it. You would have seen those videos I put on YouTube about that. No, they didn't actually do that, did they, Siri? Siri? Are they an American firm or are they an English firm? You could probably report that for like consumer rights or something like that. You could probably report that. They can't legally just close you down for that. They would have to at least give you your money. Yeah, UK form. You could definitely report that. Small claims court or something like that. They can't just close you down. Okay, like I said, they were building these stops in here to get run. It's very obvious levels to go and run, which they're now using for that move higher, all right? So we just talked about this move up towards 50s. If they take out 50s, they're going to run up towards 80s, okay? Everything we just talked about. That's why you don't front load, you don't front run until the setup's there. So next stop for this now. It's gut checking those H1 candles right now. So from where we are now all the way up to 80, all right, 20,080. This is where it can run up to. All you need to do is check the H1. If you're wondering where I'm getting this from, look left on the H1. These candles here. All right, so this was the Jolts number high. That's why I went and cleared the Jolts number high yesterday on the drive up. This is the range we're currently in. If we get above this range, look how easy it would be to come and fill some of this imbalance for the upside. Right, this is thin structure up here. Remember, this is value area high from yesterday. If we get through this, we can reprice this thin structure. So they will try and defend this area. If they fail to defend it, we have more upside potential. Jerry, is there, depending on the account size, but it's not about the amount you use, it's about how many you add to a position. So you can only really add to a winning position. You can do one add to a losing position. So there were times before they changed the rules where I would be, let's say I had an initial position of 3 or 5, and I'd build a position in a demand area as I like what I saw. Can't do that anymore. So you need one. The best way to trade it is one initial position, and you can add to a winner as much as you want. But for a 50k account, you can effectively trade 100 micros. Not that you'll need that. Right, so I'm normally trading between 3 and 20, 25 micros, somewhere between that, dependent on the expected move, dependent on what I think the market's going to do, whether I can build a position into a winner. Okay, so a strong rejection from that move into 50 once it got that squeeze. So the question now is, do we hold the initial balance high, or was this a failed auction? Was this the move into 50 using these stops we just talked about? Do we now get a break and a failed auction back downside? These are the questions. Or do we hold the initial balance and go for a new high? I think in time, Apex will relax the DCA. I think they'll keep it strict for those adding to losers all the time, which I think is a good thing. But I think they will end up relaxing a bit on micros. Here we go then. Here we go. So is this going to be a wash of this, or are we now going to dump? Was this the squeeze out that they needed to get the liquidity? Or is this now, the question is this a still of liquidity here to go higher, or is this a failed auction to trade downside? All right. One of these is going to play out. Beast mode, well, it's not necessarily that you take them to court, but if what they're doing is illegal, I know people in America who have won cases against Apex and many other cases. Getting all your money out is a bit harder, but getting your money back isn't too hard. And actually, they don't want the bad press. I don't think, from what I understand, Alpha Capital have great press. So I would always trade with one of the leading accounts. Top Step, Apex, My Fund of Futures, things like that. Ryan, if IB rejects, would stop be just above the previous high? You'd have to be risking too much there, mate. You'd be risking 40, 50 points. Better off waiting for like this flag to start presenting and risking into the IB high. Like it's doing now. Okay, I'm getting interested in this now. Can we wash down? Right, can we get a break here? New break of structure under here, into this and into the VWAP and lower. Would be ideal. Would be ideal. Watching ES, because this is where it broke out from. Really want to see the tape get very, very heavy here very quickly, ideally. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Can we move lower here? Lovely. Can we move even lower here? Can we come down into VWAP? Remember, buyers started coming in here into 66. This is your deep pullback and previous day close that we just tapped into. ES soaking here. Reason that this is tricky is if they just want to wash this liquidity to move higher, they will. All these everyone in here who is a buyer, if they want to stop them out to then move higher, they will. This is the only danger here. But so far, we're in a nice move after a squeeze out, failing in the initial balance. Can we come back down towards VWAP? That's the question. If you want to know more, Suri, there is a guy on Twitter, I think his name's Dan. I think he successfully, him and some friends won a small case against Apex. And there's probably some guys who have taken cases against Alpha Capital. It'd be worth doing a Google. Are you from the UK? You might need a UK lawyer. Price just stop hunting. Yeah, price is stop hunting. We knew it was going to do something like this today based on this expanding pattern based on inside range, inside daily patterns. All right, when we're inside range, it's going to stop hunt, create liquidity, build liquidity, search it, destroy it. Very unlikely to get trend days all the time we're inside. Yeah, you're based in the UK. Yeah, so talk to like a small claims, explain what's happened to them. There should be like a better business or something like that. I haven't been in the UK for quite some time, but there should be something like that. There's one thing not paying you, it's another thing removing your whole account. That's two totally different things. Because I'm assume you're still being, are you trading sim? Are you getting sim fills then, or are you actually on a full live account? Do your orders hit the market, or are they like Apex and everywhere else, or are they sim fills? If they're sim fills, there's no reason for them to completely take your money. At the very least, you'll get your money back. Sim, yeah. Yeah, most of sim, unless you get moved live, like Top Step when they move you to live funded, and until that point you're getting sim fills, so there's no reason for them to not give you your money back or allow you to try and complete trading. Here you go, looking for a new break of structure here now to the downside. Get a two-leg move to the downside would be amazing for this failed auction. If it keeps soaking here, I'm going to be very, very cautious. Coming in towards VWAP on ES, so I've got one eye on ES here for a reaction. VWAP is pretty much at 750 on ES. I want to see NQ just nosedive straight down. My finger on the trigger right now in case I need to take some size off. $950 and $975 on the NQ, building liquidity. For the ES, yeah, in towards VWAP, they are building liquidity here. One big snap here would be beautiful. Don't really want this to run back up to IB. We've already tested it a couple times. These are hard trades, guys, because these are not trend trades. These are initial balance rotational trades, so they're harder trades to take because they go against what you would do with a trend. Totally different setup. It's a good 5-minute rejection here. Candle closes in 10 seconds, so just waiting to see what we do on this closure. Can we make a new low? New hourly bar right here. Want to see this hourly bar expand back down. The problem is that hourly might start getting stuck here at 88 and 80 on NQ. If it wants to continue higher, if it's just going to backtest to go higher. ES looking good here, new low on ES. Still not hit VWAP. Need to be cautious of this hourly bar. I'm very, very aware of this now. So we're pushing outside of where it just closed. So in the next 5-10 minutes, I need to see it drive lower. If it's not going to do that, I will just take this trade off because I will expect upside pressure. Want to see this flag play out, new prices lower. That's what I would like to see. Might not get it. Might not get it based on what I'm seeing on the hourly. If it reclaims that initial balance, I'll probably take it off here. Can always add in later. If it starts to reclaim and get above it. Where it's tricky is it might want to reprice up into here. 33s, and it could have just trapped here to do it. It's really tough action this when we have inside days like this. It becomes very, very tricky. It's definitely clear upside targets that it can go and attack if it does not reject initial balance here. Yeah, this hourly candle looks dangerous to me. Looks dangerous to me. All right, trimming some off here. So Amazon now green and Nvidia green. So you have some red to green moves, attempts on the Mag 7. ES testing its initial balance right now. Feel like this wants higher prices now, probably just going to take this off. Yeah, I'm out. Shame, should have taken more profit there. I was looking for the drop back down. Held the deep pullbacks. Might still set up. It might still set up. But the hourly candle was the clue there. All right, this hourly candle where we closed, we couldn't make any dig down deeper. It just held and now it's expanding back upside. So it had to respect that hourly candle. So be it. This is what I was saying. The problem is it might want to reprice here to go lower. But the risk here was terrible at that point. Futures, Frank, you hate NAS? Yeah, NAS can be tricky. It can be tricky. But we might still want upside, you know. If it comes and clears out these highs, like I said, it can get very thin all the way up here. Sorry, not easy today. Yeah, not easy today. We knew it wasn't going to be an easy day. Relative strength on the Nasdaq right now. Now Apple's gone red to green as well. So you've got tech trying to make red to green runs here. QQQ is testing that afternoon spike level. All right, it's testing afternoon spike up to 83s. Yes, now basing above. Very, very tricky with alignment now. Just have to be hands off. If they're going to use this liquidity to go higher, they will. Don't get too biased. Those in chat saying you're hoping for retest and then short. Try not to get too biased. Just trade whatever's in front of you. Tried the initial balance trade. It offered a little bit. Oh, that's dirty, isn't it? That is dirty. So do they soak off this level now? This is where we just found buyers. This is where it's going to get hard. Structure is going to start to fight each other. Remember, that's just a pullback to where we found buyers for that squeeze up just now. Still at that initial balance high. Still not a lot on the tape. ES at its daily level. It is really, really tricky here, guys. I'm not gonna lie to you and say it isn't. It is not easy action right now. This can do a lot of damage to a lot of accounts if it wants. If it's going to try and squeeze higher after just retrapping low. So remember, this is still upside. Trapped, push, pullback can still scream upside here. It's trying to induce lots of people. It can also still fail and dump down. It is really, really hard. It's best just to be flat and just let it play out right now, in my opinion. Right, I took a nice short this morning. I had a go at that IB, didn't work, took it off. So be it, so be it. If we're going to do this dance all day, I'm going to call it a day early probably. If we can get a clean move, I don't care which way it is. It can be upside or downside. I just want to see something clean. Just looks like ugly action that wants to grind upside to me. Just looks like it wants to keep moving upside, take everyone out. Probably stop hunts again here after catching more in that trap, I would imagine. So now holding the IB. Problem is now you have a lack of alignment. And this is now because NQ has relative strength from Mag 7 trying to go green. So Tesla is getting absolutely hammered today, but everything else, Apple now green on the day, Amazon green on the day. It's going to be so hard here. They're going to trap over and over because they lack liquidity to do any good move. But this is pretty boring when they do this. Unknown caller, you want to trade? Yeah, I mean, at the moment I'm thinking upside now, but I don't trust it at all. I do not trust it at all. But the way that they've just retrapped and held now above the initial balance makes me think of upside. Potential into 80. Low-hanging fruit right there for the drive up. But the fact that they're not showing conviction on anything is tricky. If you look at ES, keeps pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling, pushing, pulling. Hasn't had a close outside of that IB yet. Double top, I don't really play double top, especially like lower time frame like this. Not something I would play. I would say more cup and handle expansion is more likely what's setting up here. Double top basically means you're going to go counter trend against this move, short now, risking where everyone's stops are already likely to get taken out. That's kind of how I read the double top. Another failure of IB high on ES. Man, this thing cannot make its mind up. So is this going to reflag now and go again? Definitely short-term momentum is upside, so you cannot be fighting this. Cannot be fighting this right now. There you go. This looks like flag wants to play out for another squeeze up like we just talked about. So more upside here. Remember, break of this can see us to 80. 80 is where we have that line in the sand from yesterday. We get through 80, it has squeeze potential. Remember the H1, if we look at that H1, it's very, very thin above here. If it wants to reprice this, it will. They're trying to have a trend day higher now, so I'm going to try and respect that move. So like I said, rather than double top, I was seeing more likely this. Run the stops. Can we get into 80? Do we run the stops there and then come down? Or do we just squeeze all the way up for a huge imbalance fill on the H1 chart? That's what I'm asking right now. That's where my head is at. There are no shorts in play here right now, okay? Because we're above the IB high, we're in bullish lower time frame structure. There is absolutely no reason to be short in this market. You don't know how high it's going to go, but you do have SMT and divergence. ES is yet to take out that 5,770. It's high on day. NQ is through high on day. Like I said, the reason that's happening is because the MAG 7 is starting to go green. So relative strength in tech means relative strength in the NQ. No reason to short this now. That short, we had that short attempt against the initial balance high. It broke out. You had to respect it. Probably should have flipped long in here straight away. Buy should have flipped long once we broke out and reclaimed the IB. That should have been a flip long bias in my opinion. I didn't take it. All right, took the stop here. Should have flipped long here. Now we have those low hanging fruit targets. 80 looks like a very low hanging fruit target for it to come and take. Through that, it has major, major squeeze potential upside. VIX looking to make a new low on day as well. So VIX has also rejected its IBL. 20,129, you're saying, Frank. 129. Okay, that's an old initial balance low that you're looking at there from Monday. So here's its approach into 80 now. Yeah, I see that, Frank. Definitely. Just want to see the reaction at 80 here, really. Oh, where's Ninja's just gone offline? What's gone on there? TradingView hasn't, so it's not my internet. What the hell's going on? There we go, it's back. Weird. So squeeze through 80s now. So now we are really, really going, aren't we? Good squeeze through 80s. ES now, new high on the day. All right, ES has a while to go to get into that spike high it made yesterday, which was up into 5,785. I'm going to think about potential fib here as well. So we're into that gap. Yeah, and the golden zone pretty much starts for me at 130 up to 220 odd. So I expect at least a partial gap fill on this H1 candle now. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, this H1 candle here, I'm thinking that some of this gets filled. All right, maybe a back test right here into value area low, maybe a point of control, maybe we reject this initial balance, but some form of gap fill into here. It now has swept that liquidity from yesterday. No reason to be short, okay? There's no reason to be short. We are in a long setup right now. $40 until lunch. See how far they can squeeze this, I guess. Or is it a liquidity sweep of that 80 for a drive down lower? Finally, some action coming on the tape. So seller at 100, seller at 90. Finally, some action on the tape. Haven't seen much all morning, really. Yeah, possibly via Iran. I think the world is just as worried about what Israel does next as it is about how Iran is acting. So is this a clear out for a drive down? Coming in back testing where we just broke out from. Remember, breakout is back testing where we broke out from now. So that liquidity at 80 is what we were talking about, right? The liquidity at 80 is what we were talking about. Can still do high prices. The tricky thing is, if you look at ES is back testing its IB high right now. Just came all the way back and back tested it. So is the ES going to hold here for higher prices? Maybe a drive up into its 5-day moving average? Or is that at the end of it? Did it just want to search for that liquidity and move lower? All we've seen so far, the 5-minute, very, very bullish, holding every single structure it's printing on the 5-minute, right? We talked about this here was bullish. Once it did this move, these are bullish moves. Not an easy day, not an easy day. Definitely offered a long setup that I missed, so I apologize about that. When I was short here and I didn't flip long on the stop, that was a very obvious long setup to the upside. Don't get them all, I'm only human. So ES holding that initial balance again. Feels kind of pinned here, doesn't it? Kind of pinned here. People are scared to enter long here. They know it's just sweat the liquidity, even though they know it can reprice upside. ES holding that IB is pretty strong. VIX has found a bounce though. VIX bounced off 1860. think that's the area we talked about. It is the area we talked about where it found bids yesterday. All right, so maybe the VIX wants to come and retest that initial balance low it's put in. Stronger move down here. Scalping some of this counter trend. Not expecting miracles here. Just watching that VIX. Can we come and test that IB? Are we going to hold the structure here that we broke out from? These are the questions. Same questions over and over and over again. Taking a little bit more of profit here. It's just counter trend, short into this scalp, expecting it to find bid soon. I'm just watching the tape here. Amazing that reaction we got as soon as it swept that liquidity from yesterday. A value area high. If it starts failing this region now, it actually gets a little bit thinner for a back test into 83s. Point of control on the day all the way down at 45s. Right, not 20,045, 19,045, 19,945. Point of control on the day. So just sat in a counter trend short here. Just once we swept that liquidity, basically a Judas move. I've taken most of my profit off already. Expecting buyers to come in soon unless structure really shifts. But this big flush gave me confidence that I could just take one versus the higher time frame algo for a move into where we are. We're now in the momentum flow zones. If it lets go of this, then maybe we come test these areas here. All right, initial balance high and the deep pullback flow zones. These are advanced trades, well, I'm not necessarily calling everything out on stream. All right, counter trend is very tricky to take. I do not advise you start with the counter trend. Just wait for pro trend trades. Might stop me out my runner here if it does a drive up, and that's fine. If we start to flip here, if the flow zones start to roll, it can come and attack this. Otherwise, I expect this. This is the pro trend play. I expect to retest higher, at least into this imbalance it created. I'm out of this play now, so I went break even, took that off as I added into the winner. That's fine. Let's see if it reprices here and just wants to do a pro bull trend higher, which is what we expect to happen when we're above the initial balance. Reaction up here is going to be key because there were clear sellers here after we took liquidity. So can it reprice that and move higher? ES looks like it wants a new high of day. All right, so like I said, those counter trends, they're short-lived. Have to be cautious on them. I swear my eyesight gets worse and worse every day I'm at the computer. I'm expecting higher prices here, or I'm expecting higher prices. ES new high on the day. Question is, how do we act in this imbalance, right? This flush candle we had, do we get a rejection here? If we get a clear rejection and a break of structure, we can come down to here, right? This is going to flag. If it reclaims straight through this imbalance, it's just going to use everyone's stops to go higher. That's the game right now. It lacks liquidity, so it's got to trap one side in to do any move right now. When we're inside range, we're inside daily candles, it lacks liquidity. If you look at the daily candle, we came and back tested the low that I talked about, Monday's low. Make sure you can see that. This was the area I was interested in a back test of this. If we look at this whole candle, we came into the 50%. It's got a way to go to get into the golden pocket, but it came into fair value and a back test. So that was one of the reasons where I thought maybe a counter trend short might set up. If it turns pro trend, fantastic. Buy the dip type of day. Yeah, this morning definitely was a buy the dip type of day, and it might continue to be that type of day because we're above the initial balance high. So the pro trend is a higher move, right? The pro trend is a higher move and above the initial balance high. But just remember, key liquidity was at 80. We popped 80 and we failed. If it's going to show me something, it's got to get above these levels and sustain now bids through daily levels to come and reprice that old hourly candle. The old hourly candle from 9 a.m. till 10 a.m. yesterday is what I'm talking about, where we did that big flush move down. We can come and back test the edge of that into 140, 150, 175, somewhere like that. Maybe this is a two-leg pullback to do it. Maybe we go deeper if they feel like they've got the move that they wanted. Meta red, Google red, Microsoft red, Apple green, Amazon green, Nvidia green. Tesla's still big red, but it's trying to reclaim a little bit. It was down 5 or 6%, now down 3% on the day. So is this going to be your W shape to move higher now? Right, is this the trap to move higher, or do they need to do a two-leg and go deeper down towards that initial balance low? So far, pro trend is up, right? Momentum is up. We're above the initial balance. If it can base here for a while, if you zoom out on a 5 or 15 minute chart, you will see it has room to move higher if it's able to base here for a while. Oh, what's going on there? There we go. So potential W here to move higher off those momentum clouds. If it cannot reprice this imbalance, then you can look for potential breakdown. But remember, you are in pro trend. If it reprices this, it likely triggers the squeeze up. VIX did not get to its IBL, so it's still trading under that, giving bullish sentiment to the market so far. 25 minutes left until we get into lunchtime. Book doesn't look too thick. Again, still got that order up at 20,100. And just adding and trying to drag liquidity to the upside to pull it up there at the moment, it looks like. ES failing to break out here, making an ascending triangle though, like a flat top ascending triangle. Very similar to NQ, but NQ already popped through it to sweep that liquidity at 80. For ES to do that same move, I think it's got to move considerably higher. Yeah, ES would have to move all the way up to 783, 785, which is where its 5-day moving average is. So that could be potential draw if it's going to go further upside for that. If this flag plays out, if you're going to take this flag early and it starts to play out, you must respect all this structure down here, okay? Must respect this because we're above initial balance high. So you would be counter trend short on this move. Like I was a moment ago, you'd be doing the same thing. You'd have to see money, take money, and be proactive. These are hard trades to take. Counter trend trades are much harder than the pro trend trades. Just seems like volume is starting to dry up a little bit here. Interest is starting to go. Interest will come back in the market if we can get back above basically 80 and sustain bids. If you get that, interest will come back in the market for a potential run up to reprice that imbalance. Until that point, you might get dwindling interest unless we can come back down here and it wants to see if buyers are still here. I believe NA, you mean NQ? NQ wants to get back to 20,260. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That would be a reprice of yesterday's first hourly candle, that 1 hour candle between 9 and 10. That's exactly what I'm talking about. But it can only trigger that if it can get above 2080 and sustain bids. Okay, if you look at where we rejected twice yesterday, 2080, the reason for that 2080, that was the high of the Newsweek that we put in at 10 a.m. So it went and reclaimed that. It took the liquidity and failed off it yesterday. We just did the same thing again. We took the liquidity and have come back inside. The pro trend is still upside. It is still upside pro trend. But has it got enough shorts trapped in here to do that move is basically the question, because there's a lack of buying continuation here. So you basically need to trap shorts in who are looking for a breakdown, which is why I'm saying the counter trend short is much harder. If they can trap shorts in, it has more potential to go upside. The more shorts they trap, the easier it's going to be for them to do that move to reprice yesterday. They are not just going to bid up. I really don't think they'll just bid up from here. Oh, wrong chart. I am sorry. Very, very sorry. Okay, my bad. All right, so the way they will trap shorts in is by having failed breakdowns, right? So remember I said counter trend is harder. So like say we come to here and it reclaims, something like that. Anything where it fails to go lower, where it's inducing shorts to get in the market who aren't covering, that's going to use their stops. Stops will be the fuel to go higher. I don't think they just buy and send it up all day. I think they need to trap to get higher prices. We've done a decent move today. It might not seem like it. It's pretty grindy, but that's a pretty good move off that low this morning. Almost 300 points. With pretty much a straight grind up. So here is one trap here. This is the trap, washed this low, reclaimed and went. That's what I'm kind of talking about. Might need to do something similar here to get upside prices. Unless something really changes, unless we get all of Mag 7 going green on the day, unless there's some news, that allows it to go green on the day. It might just need to dig a little bit lower first. What news are you seeing, Frank? I can see OPEC news. Israel saying they're going to respond with an attack. Bowman doesn't comment on monetary policy. Oh, 8:15. Okay, that's a little while ago. I mean, I think the market was set for this move once it swept, once you got ES swept previous day low and NQ didn't. See if they roll this down into here and trap at this point, or if they just flush. So if you're taking this flag, see money, take money, make sure you are locking some in. Please, 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 it's counter trend. They will want to trap here. The question will be how low does it go, if at all. So any counter trend must be aggressive in locking some in. ES is still basing at its high of day, all right? It's basing at high of day, primed for a move higher. Structure-wise, still looks pretty good. All right, still looks pretty good. Same thing over and over. Structure-wise, you can always look at a line chart. Slower stream today. I know, slower stream today. I'm sorry. Missed that key long. ES new high of day incoming right now, or at least a test of it. If it breaks, you might get a squeeze out here on the NQ. If it fails to break, maybe they need to go deeper. I'm not convinced that NQ's got enough shorts trap, but maybe it has. Market makers will know that. And notice how these candles get much, much smaller. We're starting to stagnate and go sideways as we come into lunch. There is the break on ES. Can it sustain bids? So far, no sustained bids over it. $61 of you now live in chat. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. I might stick around a bit longer today, just in case we get going over lunch for this squeeze up, if it really wants to do it. ES really lacks conviction here. Every single pop is being sold back inside. Range is getting very, very tight here. This range here is getting very, very tight. I'll be back. Give me a minute. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. Lost 10 of you off stream while I left. I just needed to get a drink. Okay, nothing has changed. It's still soaking dips. All right, we're in low volume. It is soaking dips. If they're going to break this out, I think they're going to need to trap shorts to do it, but maybe not. Yes, potentially, Ryan, potentially. This kind of move here is what you're looking at. Problem is, I don't really want to be buying high of day, especially into lunch, especially into those key daily levels. When I'm looking at the daily chart and looking at Monday low, has me a little bit tentative, especially with ES can not get going. All right, ES keeps fading over and over and over again. Every push is pulling back on ES. It is ugly doing that. So if they're going to trap into this last 10 minutes into a new H1 candle, it's possible. It's possible we get manipulation into the H1 candle. Again, my bias is higher, but I would like to see them trap and re-soak. That would give me more impetus that I think we can go higher because there's more shorts stuck. But maybe not. Maybe it's just a grindy day. ES has got quite a long way to go there. It can go another 15 points before it gets anywhere near where we are currently equivalently at on NQ, which is the spike level yesterday afternoon. All right, so the high of that on ES is at 84. We've already cleared out the high of that on NQ. So again, relative strength in the Qs today. Still fighting that imbalance on the Qs. You've got to think something is going to give here at some point. There is going to be a squeeze or a big pullback. At some point, something will give. And probably in the next 10 to 20 minutes as we come into a new hourly candle. Where do I think the potential pullback could go before moving higher? I really don't know, Ryan. All I know is that this is a lot of liquidity being built here, and they might want to come and sweep that kind of move here. That would be a better trap move kind of play. That's the kind of thing I'd sort of be thinking about. They don't have to move it higher. The pro trend is higher, but they don't have to. But maybe now they do that move we were just talking about. Look how quickly this is moving. Every time it's coming down into that 60, very quickly soaking back up. It's a really hard play here to try and find a level to get involved in, knowing that there's so many stops built into here. Maybe they're going to send it now. Remember, we're coming into a new hourly candle, right? So we're going to get a liquidity injection. That's what I'm saying. One way or another, something's going to happen, I would have thought. So Russia talking about oil news, production for OPEC. Let's see what they're saying. That's a pretty big statement. US Deputy Secretary Kurt Campbell saying it's not just Israel that's thinking about response options to Iran. The US is too. That is not what people will want to hear. No one is looking for a new world war right now. So is this now going to be the sweep that we just talked about, Ryan? Potentially looking like it. Look at ES driving further down. Again, keeps having failed breakouts. Here we go. This is what we're talking about, sweeping all these stops. All right, so learn to see this. It was very obvious how many stops were there, and I was saying maybe it needs to sweep them before it can think about going higher. Remember, the chart doesn't want to make it easy for you. It doesn't want these bulls participating here just to have it easy for the move higher. It wants to take them out first, then maybe do it, which is what it possibly looks like it might be setting up to do now. Can still go lower because it's left equal lows here now, relative equal lows right here, but we came into that deep pullback zone. Might want to come back and test that initial balance high. Yes, Fig, exactly. That's what exactly what I was just saying before it did the move. Buyers keep trying to come in here, reloading on the tape. I'm watching them constantly trying to reload on the tape. I think it can go deeper first. I think they're early, trying to mark it in early. Can also be the end of it. We can go back inside in the initial balance if it really wants to today. This is why you cannot be chasing moves at highs. Cannot be chasing moves at highs. VIX reapproaching now. Its initial balance low. Can we get a move lower here on the market? This looks really, really good here now. Can't be joining here too late. This is looking good. So I've been scalping in and out of this move down since that first flush. If this is the trap set, this could be it. It might just be enough now for it to want to go up. Remember, we're into a new hourly candle in 3 minutes time. So where this candle closes will become important. I'm only expecting this to be a manipulation for it to go higher later right now. Ideally, we come all the way back to the initial balance and see how we base there. But then I need to be cautious, right? We have to be cautious because if sellers come back in and we go back into a sell, it can come way down, right? If it starts to fail this, clear levels of liquidity, it can start to hunt and come way, way down. So this will become key for me. With my bias, with my thesis. So far, this deep pullback is holding, all right? So the wash of that liquidity, if it fails to make a new low under here and it reprices up here, at that point, I would say it's got enough shorts trapped in here to use this to go higher. said I did not feel that they would just let this be bid up, bid up, bid up and go. It felt like it would have to, if it's going to do that move higher today, it would have to trap the shorts in. Beast mode, if Harris wins. What are you asking? What the market will do? I don't know what the market would do if Harris wins. I don't think they love her policies. I think the main thing the market will be concerned about if Harris wins is her spending. All right, not to get too deep into politics, but it will be her spending. The provisions of healthcare, these $25,000 provided for new home buyers, things like that. When the US is already in $35 trillion of debt and incurring an extra $1 trillion of debt every 90 days, the last thing the market really wants is more spending, because it just increases debt, because there's no way that spending will be justified from any taxation. It just won't. You won't be able to compete with giving $25,000 away to new home buyers. So that will be a big concern for the market, because if you get an uptick in spending in a shrinking economy, in a market where we are already, probably at max levels, where we now want to and need to do quantitative easing, that's the type of thing that can cause recessionary pressure. Because if you start to increase spending, there won't be any room to put the rates back up. And you're going to get into more and more and more debt. So that will be the main concern for the market, just in terms of her coming in, is just how they're going to spend money. Trump has his own issues with the market as well. So I'm not giving you an opinion on who I like or anything like that. I can't even vote, so it really doesn't matter. But an impartial view, it will all be down to spending. Spending and taxation. It's always what the market cares about. Really what the market wants is just some stability. It just wants some stability. Market moves well when we can price things in and it's stable. Okay, so it looks like a potential trap here now, doesn't it? And if it's going to do it, it's going to have to use these highs to do it. This is what we were talking about, this exact move it just did. Scroll back in the chat 10-20 minutes. This is exactly what we were talking about. Trap underneath to use the stops to go higher. Make short start entering the market for this breakdown here. Remember, we talked about if the bear flag plays out, you've got to be proactive taking profits. Trap them in here, turn. If it can then do this, it will use this liquidity to go higher. It is literally a game of liquidity. That's all playing the market is. Where is the liquidity and how can you use it? We're in a new hourly candle now, all right? New hourly candle, so make sure you're aware of that previous hour close. It's right on the one before, on the high, and it's right on value area high. So 60-ish becomes key, 58.60 becomes key. Expansion through that, can we get through the high of day at towards 90 odd, is it? Or are we going to stop hunt where we said we will need that pivot, which is about where we are now? Beast mode, you were talking to Jerry Roberts. Oh, apologies, my friend. Apologies, my friend. I probably missed a lot in the chat. So either a internal stop hunt of these to go lower, or a base above and a move to seek liquidity from yesterday. VIX still cannot get through its IBL, all right, cannot get through its IBL. If VIX is going to print lower prices, then we can probably squeeze here. We are into lunch now. You are going to lack volume and liquidity. You can probably hear fire brigade going past my office outside. A lot of weight is probably too strong a sentence, but I definitely look at it. If you look at yesterday, that double distribution day, the reason I'm looking at that is look above yesterday's value area high and then look at the day before's point of control. We basically have room from where we are now to trade up into that imbalance on the H1. So that's, if that makes sense, that's more what I'm looking at, of good areas. If we get through that, where is it thin? Where can we go to? Hopefully that makes sense. That was for JP in chat who was asking. So we're tapping on that same level that we rejected at twice yesterday. Really would like to see price just drive upwards after a trap, but the problem now is we are into lunch, right? The volume has dissipated, it is going. You have mixed bag still on a Mag 7, completely mixed bag. Tesla red, Meta red, Google red, Microsoft red, Amazon green, Apple green, Nvidia green. That is likely to be it for me today. Not much else setting up here. There is potential for a squeeze out if they have trapped enough. If they're just going to dump it to go lower, you're going to get the same thing over and over again. Rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, while they build liquidity to do the move that they want. I would watch that upside pressure. If they've got enough trap today, I'd watch for upside pressure. If it can break out of high of day, you have potential for it to come and back test, right? You're looking for back test on levels, so you can fib out yesterday's daily candle. You can look for maybe moves into 125, 150, 180. If it really gets going, maybe it reprices the whole thing. Who knows? But what you don't want to be doing is buying high in the squeeze, because you don't know when it's going to end. You can see today, even though we've moved up, it's had to create choppy action, right? Choppy action to get the move, because it's needed to create liquidity to get that move up. So I'd be looking for potential upside all the time you think shorts are trapped. You cannot be buying at the highs though, it will get you in trouble. A slower stream today, guys. I do apologize, and I'm sorry I missed that long. Hopefully some of you got it. Do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. I'll be back same time tomorrow, 10 o'clock market time. I'm expecting some really good moves Thursday and Friday in this market, possibly this afternoon as well. So keep your eyes peeled on the market. Use hard stops. If you want to learn more, all the links are underneath. Until then, peace out.